right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Somers Town Board regular meeting starting here at 7:05, Thursday, February 8th, 2024. Before we start tonight's meeting, can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2024. Before we start tonight's meeting, can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
A little feedback.
Paul, we got some feedback, a couple seconds late.
All right, sorry, stand by.
Oh, that was right. That was me. That's playing. Wonders of technology.
No feedback. Oh, yeah, some feedback. A couple seconds late.
Is it still happening?
Yep.
Wonders of technology.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay, thank you. All right, Patty, can we start with roll call?
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Clinchie. Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rob Scrano.
Here. All right, we're gonna open up with a public comment. I'll make the motion to open up public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Anybody here for public comment? If you are, can you please step up to the podium and name and address, please?
Okay. Thank you. My name is Joe Iconetti. I
Hey,
live
Joe.
at 18 Cypress Lane in Shenorock.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Joe.
You just have to hear it.
I'd just initially like to thank the board and Roland and the Highway Department for all their time, patience, and effort in being proactive in implementing important safety measures. And I believe that they made Somers a safer town than it already was, which is very difficult to do. And I believe you did your best, and you will continue to do your best in the present and the future. And I don't want you to perceive anything in any negative way whatsoever, because we're just trying to do best we can, as you are, in making this a safer community. I've mentioned it in the past. There were many campaigns started to make improvements. No cell phones while you're driving. No having to wear your seatbelt in the car. And smoking, very serious issue. They finally passed laws, no smoking. Also, the drinking and driving was another big issue that Mothers Against Drunk Driving got behind that, and they finally came up with laws for people who were drinking and driving, and having the DWI laws. And right now, a big issue is speed. And it's a national issue. We can't do anything about the entire county or state or country, but we can certainly do something in Somers, which we have. There are a lot of safety campaigns. There's slogans, and insurance companies are involved. They give reductions if you take safe driver courses.
Hey, Roland, do us a favor and just mute yourself.
Sorry.
Yep, you're all right.
So these driver safety courses, they give you a reduction, and they do it for a purpose, because they want people to drive more safely. And they want you to take a refresher course every 3 years, because they know that that's important. And the main thing they emphasize, if you've ever taken a driver safety course, and I recommend it, is speed. That's the #1 issue, speed and tailgating. They came out with all these slogans, stay alive, drive 55, which doesn't seem to help much, and speed kills, and the latest, speed ruins lives. And you might survive a crash, but you could become paralyzed. And I feel that the safety concerns are legitimate, and speed bumps are the only thing that guarantees reducing speed and police presence. And I think that they need to be all year round speed bumps. Other communities have them, like Bedford Hills. If you go through Cherry Street, and I don't want to live there. I love Somers. I want to live here. But I think it's very important because when September and October comes, you see different slogans: drive carefully, schools open, and then we're going to take up the speed bumps. And at that time of the year, September, October, it gets darker.
So you got about 30 seconds more.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
So,
I don't want to take up more
So
time.
we got 3 minutes each.
Okay, I understand that. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's a very important safety concern. In the winter months, it gets darker. There's rain on top of the leaves, and that's not a good combination, not to mention the speed. And I respect the highway department. I know it's a difficult situation if they have to lift a plow, but it can be done. And I'm going home when there's a blizzard, and I know those guys are going out there. So I know it's difficult, but I appreciate what they've done in the past and what you've done in the past.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. You have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm always the bad guy. I apologize.
No,
So I'm always the one who does the timer, but that's all right.
it's understandable.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for cutting me off.
May I,
yeah, come on.
I give you guys some leaflets to follow along with me with what I'm about to say?
Sure.
Sure.
That's the first for me.
Are petitions against the speed bumps that were put in the general post office. Some states are a little bit too general, and I just want to make you state that.
I'll give you mine.
Clarify.
So speed bumps are not on the agenda, right?
Speed bumps are not on the agenda.
I remember, Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim McCardle, live at 16 Cypress Lane in Shenock. First off, I'd like to thank the volunteer fire department and ambulance service in Somers. I think the volunteers do a great job, and I really, really appreciate them. All right, so the first one we're going to start off with: speed bumps are dangerous in emergencies and can cost lives. Since the Federal Highway Administration website, speed bumps can make drivers' travel rate stop to 5 miles an hour, they better ensure that drivers won't cause accidents. In fact, speed bumps can be linked to up to 60% decrease in passenger pedestrian injuries and death. Having the experience of being an ambulance driver for 3 years when I was a firefighter in the city of Mount Vernon assigned to the ambulance, I have experience with driving an ambulance. And during the 3 years, I personally answered 200 calls. The paramedics stabilize heart attack victims before the ambulance arrives, so the IV is already in place. The people with neck and spine injuries, if properly backwatered, should not be affected by driving over speed bumps. And the chances of a person living in Shenock having a heart attack and their outcome be affected by a slight delay versus the possibility of a Shenock resident walking his dog or running in Shenock and being hit by a car are far greater. The point is that we do not have sidewalks and we need speed bumps for our safety. Plus, the Federal Highway Administration website states being hit by a car going over 23 miles an hour has a 44% fatality rate. Number two, speed bumps damage vehicles. This is a great statement that may not apply to Shenock because Shenock is not as urban as most communities. Living on the street with speed bumps, I have witnessed a few vehicles go over speed bumps, but I've not seen them go over multiple times a day. Number three, there is no data to support that this is true. To say that the speed bumps in Shenock are causing 10% more pollution is, I don't see how I can qualify. Statement number four, speed bumps have redirected traffic. That is true. But in my opinion, the speed bumps make drivers aware of the speed limits when they decide to go a different route. All three roads in the Shenock are 40-mile-an-hour limits. Just that some people have to pay attention to the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit in Shenock. We send a message to them and to the cut-through drivers that we care about our community and to slow down. Number five, speed bumps frustrate drivers and divide communities. In 2021, a national telephone survey conducted by the AAA Foundation of Traffic Safety, 40% of drivers admitted exceeding the speed limit by 10 miles an hour on residential streets. As for the drivers who screeched their tires in protest, well, they'll probably regret it when they have to go and get new tires 6 months earlier than they would have expected. Number 6, speed bumps have made it uncomfortable for children in school buses. I don't know. That might be true. Maybe not. I don't know. Number 7, speed bumps cause pain and for disabled individuals. I am a senior citizen and I am a disabled veteran. I do not ride in the senior citizen transport vehicles. However, I do ride over the speed bumps in my own car and have never felt any extra discomfort. Number 8,
Tim, wrap it up.
speed bumps are allowed to be removed, are being removed in many communities. That is for sure. But I would like this opportunity to thank the Somers Police Department for their cooperation. They have already stretched the limit helping us. And for those that think that the police presence would be good for this substitute for the speed bump, if we were able to have 24-hour, 7-day-a-week police presence, I would agree with that statement. But since we can't and we can't afford it, and we can't ask the other people in Somers to station a policeman in Center Rock 24/7, 7 days a week. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Ted.
It's 3 minutes, and obviously I'm not going to cut you right off. I'll let you complete your warning.
Good evening. Liz Mira, I'm sure you all know me by now. Me and a few friends from the neighborhood have been here dealing with safety issues and trying to get safety measures put in place. And I'm grateful for the new stop sign that is near my home. So far, no one has crashed into my house since it's been put up.
Good.
I can't say that everyone that's coming to the stop sign is stopping. Some are in protest flying through. But I feel safer that the stop sign is there, and for the most part, most of the residents are at least slowing down for the stop sign. I did notice a difference with the speed bumps, definitely with the speed. I know the speed bumps were temporary. Nick was putting them in by the lake to keep the kids safe when they're fishing and they're riding bikes, and I think we all appreciate that. Because they were temporary, they were kind of stiff, so I think some people were complaining about them. But the object that we were going for was safety, and it definitely made a difference in speed, I'll tell you that. And just for people that might not know, that live in Shenorock and might not have been at these meetings prior to today, this has been going on for a couple of years. I'm sure you guys can attest to it. We've been talking about this for 2 years. And we sort of came to an agreement of these temporary speed bumps to help. So I just wanted to get up here, remind everyone how long it took. Thank you all for your help, and the police department and Nick, and tell you that I am seeing a difference and I do feel safer. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are the speed bumps down now for the winter?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah, they're up.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Evening, gentlemen, Robin Anderson, 9 Cypress Lane. I had this whole thing planned out with reiterating all the facts that we've talked about, because this petition is going around. There are signs up by the lake asking people to go to the post office and sign this petition, and I hope those will get taken down by the highway department. Shouldn't get on town property, I believe, but I think I'm going to skip most of what I wrote and just say that there have been many people in Shenorock that are very supportive of the speed bumps and very appreciative of them, as well as the stop signs. In fact, most of the folks that comment ask for more. They want to know why there aren't interventions on Overhill. There is a complaint that the traffic is diverted onto Carpenter and Miller, which I'm sure is true. And so on people speeding past their house, they want to send them back down to our houses. And I don't think that's right either. I think we need to come up with solutions to continue to address the safety issues in Shenorock. I think the chief of police had asked for a traffic safety study at one point when we talked about the reduction in the speed limit. I don't know if that happened. And I know we also talked about having you guys help us out with the state in advancing the traffic lights at 202 and Miller. And I know, Rob, you had said that you spoke to Slater's office and we're gonna work on that. I don't know where that is, and I took Christmas off, so.
We're still working.
Okay. But I do want to thank you for all your efforts to date.
And keep in mind, I know we've told you this numerous times. Getting a stoplight is not an easy lift.
I know, but so we started out a year and a half ago and, you know, Harcum's office basically told me to buzz off and Slater told me he would fix the potholes and, you know, we're not getting any traction here, so.
I mean, I've used
Yeah.
the example before, the JFK. I think they were asking for a light for, I mean,
Oh,
probably
yeah.
10 years, Patty,
On 138.
something like that. And it took them ages to get it. So
Yeah, I know,
again, so I understand. So the
Yeah.
supervisor's working on it, but
yeah.
Manage expectations.
yeah, exactly. He gets stuff done, but that's a big one.
We don't expect it to be done next week, but we'd like to make sure that there's
I
progress.
want to make sure that somebody's working on it.
Yeah, and the other point I just want to make is, one of the things they said in that flyer that's been, and the petitions that are circulating on the internet is that there were 4 people that wanted this, and I just want to reiterate that the initial meeting we had with Nick and the chief, there were about 20 residents there, and there's many, many more that are in support of these measures.
Thank you.
How many people would you say are not in support of them?
So they have people, so they have these petitions, right? 70 people signed saying no, pull all the speed humps out, and 63 signs saying keep them. But when you look at the comments on the people that said pull out the speed bumps, the comments were the speed bumps are too high. There's too many in too short a distance, and they need to be throughout Shenorock, not take them out. That's not what people are.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, the thing about this, Robin, is, I mean, you cite these statistics, but in my mind, our mind, you know, it's not a popularity contest. It's about
It's
what
a
is,
safety contest.
and so we would defer to those who have more expertise in this. So it's not just a referendum. That would bring things to our attention. And as you say, some of the comments might find ways to improve it.
Mhm.
And of course, you always listen to that. But, you know, it's not, how many people, because that's not the way you want to have things done.
You know, we know that fatalities are decreased. Geez, what was the number? If you're hit by a person driving 30, you are twice as likely to be killed as if hit by someone 25. I mean, that's huge for a
Yeah.
5-mile-an-hour difference. And then your stopping distance improves by 45 feet or 23% if you're doing 25 instead of 30. So less accidents, and if there is one, less harm done. To me, it's a no-brainer. And now that I'm here, why does Somers Chase get a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit?
Private road.
Okay, I figured.
Well, let me point this out, though. You've mentioned that you've gone to other levels of government, and of course, everyone in America loves government, you know, moving at the speed of
Sludge.
state.
I worked for the VA for 35 years.
But
I know the government.
you know, the beauty of local government is you can come here and you may not get the action you want or the consideration, and we may or may not agree with you. But, you know, I think that is why we all choose to work in local government. It's a chance for us to do something and for you
And
to
take
get the
that-
action a little bit faster than maybe in other areas, because there's more, understandably so, more red tape, more regulations they got to follow.
Mhm.
So I just want to point that out.
Rob, that was.
We're
Right,
doing our
well
best.
said.
I apologize.
Thank you.
All right, thank
That's
you.
fine. I'm gonna be here for a while.
Hello, I'm Dora Acevedo. I live at 10 Cypress Lane, and initially I wasn't gonna come up and talk, but I figured let me put some input. I am a pediatric nurse practitioner in the Bronx. I work at Jacobi, which is a level 1 trauma center and a level 2 trauma center for children. 17 years in the pediatric emergency room. So I have seen what cars do to a child and to a teenager in high-speed crashes or when they're struck by a car. And I've heard the parents screaming. So that's been etched in my mind for 17 years. I worked there, and now I work in the pediatric outpatient clinic there. Stop signs are very important. I noticed that has helped with the speed. I live near that three-way intersection where the kids love to do the donuts, and you see the marks on the floor all the time, and people when they speed. Unfortunately, Shenorock is used as a shortcut. You know, a lot of people use it to get to the highway faster. For some reason, they think it's faster. and I see them speeding all the time. I came originally from the Bronx, and I've been in Somers for 10 years. So I came from a place where speed was pretty regulated. We had sidewalks. And was something very new, and I was terrified my children walking in the street because I saw the car speeding. I'm like, they're not gonna care whether they hit you or not. Jacoby actually has speed bumps. Unfortunately, they were installed after one of our co-workers was killed by a car that was speeding in the campus, and it was not a patient or somebody, it was actually another co-worker that wanted to get home fast. And he was speeding in the campus and struck him, and he was actually reached at 0 point of impact, straight to the trauma bay, and he still didn't make it. So then after that, the speed bumps were placed, unfortunately. The speed bumps are actually only removed during snowstorms. So if we get a warning that we're gonna get snowstorms, the speed bumps are removed. Once everything's been cleared away, usually like 1 or 2, 3 days, the speed bumps come right back on. So we actually don't remove them for the winter. They are placed back. Obviously, if a police officer is injured, fireman's injured, sometimes they'll remove them if we have a notice ahead of time so that we clear the way. So I just wanted to mention that since I have those experiences, just so that you know, that it does not affect the patient at all having the speed bumps. I mean, we're level 1, they're like speeding literally. We get all the cardiac arrests. So whatever gets thrown on the floor or scraped up is brought to Jacoby. And the speed bumps does not slow them down and doesn't do anything to the patient at all. And most of the time they know how to secure them correctly, and we don't have any issues with that. So I just wanted to put my input in that so that you guys know that
Thank you.
there's no
Thank you.
effect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hello, Wendy Archer from Crest Drive North. I'm one of those Overhill people that are hoping that something can be done on Overhill. I want to thank you for all the measures, as everyone here in the group has done. And I just wanted to say, I requested some signage at Overhill back in June, going west past Shenorock Drive. It's a blind crest. I believe we've discussed this before, and some people fly over that hill. The mirror across from Crest Drive North that you had installed helps for cars coming east, but the other way currently requires prayer. So I'm wondering how we could get some signs up there, or what I can do to try to get that going.
Well, the first step is what you're doing right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned that a couple times, right? Be honest, I don't know where it fell off, but I'll double check again and see where it's at.
Okay. Should I call the office or?
Yeah, you send me an email. It's probably best.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Not saying that it will happen, or that once I refer it out and see what people think.
Yeah.
Anytime that you send the email, I refer it out and get feedback back from it.
Okay. I mean, it should be pretty straightforward because there is a sign warning people about the blind crest on the other side.
Everything is always straightforward when someone wants it.
No, I know bureaucracy. Yes, alive and well, but all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, look at you. Good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
point.
got a new
Keep it
hat
G-rated.
D's in here now, That's a nice hat.
Philippe Alvarez, I live at 9 Cypress Lane. Been in the area 12, 13 years. And all the measures that have been taken are great. And hopefully we can collaborate with the people that don't want them and come up with some kind of medium where we can satisfy everyone that lives in all the avenues, Underhill, Overhill, because people have forgotten that Shenorock is not the same Shenorock it was 20, 25 years ago. There's a lot of forest around here at that time. People will come by, and it's people, they drive by, it's slow, not that much people, but now Shenorock is surrounded by Heritage Hills, by so many housing projects going up and existing and coming housing projects. It's not the same Shenorock. People seem to have this nostalgic attitude that change is bad, and it's not bad. We're just asking for stop signs. And if you oppose a stop sign and you're saying that they're now coming through your neck of the woods, well, why don't you get together with us and the board and try to put some stop signs where you live, instead of saying take off all the stop signs, which is ludicrous. It just doesn't make any sense. It's going to take somebody to die before somebody realizes that this is an important safety issue. And that's the major point right there. Just the safety. That's it. You have a lot of new people, a lot of new kids. I've always said it. Summertime is coming. You're going to have a lot of people on those roadways. I myself has come this close to cars all the time. And they tell me, why you walking your dog? You should go to a park. They stop the car and tell me this. Oh, you know that I almost hit you. How can you hit me when you saw me from all the way down there and it's daylight? You're on your cell phone. You're on your radio, whatever you're doing. These are things that have to be brought up. But I think that instead of bickering and arguing and putting up petitions, it just doesn't make any sense. Come to the board and say, well, what needs to be done? And maybe you can fix it and maybe you can't. And, that's a good thing. And I think that's basically what I think we have to do, is just work together.
Well, I'm glad you say that, right? Because it's some of the things I'm writing down here, right? You said something about common ground, coming together. Has the community of Shenorock come together and had a conversation and hash it out? Because for the past year and a half, I've been sitting here and this board has been here and we've had people come in about stop signs, about speed bumps. And now that the speed bumps and stop signs are in, we have more and more people coming in. They don't want it. Where were those people when we were here the year and a half?
Well,
So now that they're in, people now, my thing is why don't we have a conversation or a discussion? If you would like myself or somebody else to facilitate, you have a community center that's there in Shenorock. I'm not sure how tight-knit the community is anymore in Shenorock, but I know there's tight-knit communities. Lake community used to be tight-knit. Lake Purdy's was tight-knit, Shenorock, Lake Lincolndale. Why don't you get the community center and have people in there and hash it out? Because we've been sitting here for the past year and a half hearing all sides of the story. And
One side.
one side, and then another side comes in. So I think, to your point, why don't we get some common ground instead of having these petitions going and going door to door? Why don't we sit down and have some common ground and come together and see if there is a solution? Because most of the time the solution can be solved just by people talking about it and saying, hey, we have a speeding issue in this area. Hey, if a community makes a conscious effort to slow down, I believe there'll be a change. But we have to have those discussions and have that community and have those discussions on both sides, people who are for and people who are against, and then work it from there. Because coming in front of the board every single time to raise a concern about a speed bump or a stop sign every time that you don't agree with it, that's just not going to get it done. So to your point, maybe have some sort of community together, and maybe someone who in Shenorock can maybe organize that, and maybe we can help facilitate it that way and figure out if there's a solution instead of coming before the town board and
and mind you, like you said, those things have been there for over a year since you put them in last year. And all of a sudden we're getting all this backlash. We didn't put those petitions out, by the way, for or against. They just popped up on the Shenorock website. So we were like, what's this about? How can you oppose a stop sign? How can you oppose? The only thing that we did discuss is that the speed bumps are back to back to back. And we told Nick that, and I think Nick did a great job, but you hit one, boom, boom, you hit another one, boom, boom, you hit another one, boom, boom. We wanted them a little spaced out next to the pumping station over there, coming down that hill, which they do come down real quick. And if you space them out a little bit, I think that'll be a little better. A lot of people also complain about the noise, that it goes dunk, and then, I don't know, because I sleep through everything, but
Right.
that,
Lucky you. Lucky you.
yeah, we can talk to Donna and we'll put it out there and see who shows up.
you have a community website or that you go to that people put stuff on?
Facebook.
520.
That's perfect.
I think that's the way to go.
I think that would be a great step, right? Because I know there's pros and cons for it, right? We're not going to make everybody happy, but if we can come to a happy medium, right? And common ground, then that would be the way to go.
Thank you, sir.
Philippe, just one question. You let Nick be aware of the concern about they're too close together?
Not yet.
Well-
We did at the beginning.
You originally had planned 2 on Lakeview and 1 on, 2 on Bridge and 1 on Lakeview. And then at the last minute, it got changed to all 3 in a row, and I don't know why he decided that, or what happened.
Is he aware of your concern or the concern of others about this?
I didn't say anything that they would go away all.
Well, before they get put back to,
We
let's,
want to make everything better, right? I mean, you try to improve in anything you go along with, and maybe that's one way.
I can email Nick that. So
All right, if you'd like to do it anonymously, it'd probably be better if we do it, but if you'd like to.
We can both do it.
I have
Ooh, look at you.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anything else? I can't reason.
Recommendation.
Hey, Jay.
Jay Bachelor, Ross Drive. We have common ground. There's concern about speeding. I just contend that controlling speed in several places where you place stop signs and speed bumps doesn't have anything to do with controlling speed anywhere else in a fairly large lake community. If you're truly concerned about speeding, for the love of God, write speeding tickets. You have time to put cops on stop signs. You have time to sprinkle them around from time to time. And write a ticket now and again, let people know that they're being watched. And you might control speed throughout the town. The stop signs and the speed bumps control speed there and only there. They don't do the ecology any good with people stopping and going. It just makes sense. Myself and these people agree completely there's a speeding problem. Apparently, we disagree on how to control it. And I think I'm being more logical than they are. If speeding is a general problem, address speeding. Please, you'll make money writing speeding tickets instead of spending money on speed bumps and stop signs. Please give it some thought.
Jay, can I ask you a question? You
Sure.
handed us a document that says effects of traffic calming measures on non-personal passenger vehicles. And this is defined as something between a passenger, larger than a common passenger car, pickup trucks, vans, etc. Is there something else in here about passenger cars?
There is that's, federal gobbledygook. It makes no sense to me.
But if I'm just wondering if you put that because it applies to cars, that's what we're talking about, or just trucks and.
Addressing that, this gentleman on your left told me last week, month ago, that you have a 40-something second response time delay and 25 miles limit. I would, if I was king, I would make it 25 and write the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But
Differentials.
there is a response. There's a federal estimate of 3.8 seconds per speed bump. And that's not just blue lights, that's red lights. And red lights, big, heavy trucks that don't want a fireman bounced off their butt going over a speed bump. That happened at Reese Park once. A guy ruined his back. They flew over one of them speed bumps. But that's just, please, the solution. If speeding is the problem, controlling speeding is the solution. Stop signs, messing with the ecology, and causing defiance among people. I see people flying through them. I see rubber being left on it's going and coming from speed bumps. They just create anger. I'm too old to be angry about it, but apparently there are people that they really, it gets a negative response and it serves no purpose other than exactly on that spot. There's talk of more people using Miller to get around 2 of them. There's no way I could document that, and I don't know whether it's common sense to go up a big steep hill and back down again, and I'm not sure. I've never in my life imagined anybody using Shenorock as a shortcut to get to Baldwin Place when there's perfectly good 45-mile-an-hour 202 and 118. That just,
Yeah, I agree.
again, defies logic.
State road.
That if you can,
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah, not right now.
Now it's a hazard. but-
Yeah, state roads versus town roads. There we go.
but you could talk to the police chief and solve this problem.
And pull the stop signs. We're up at 179 signatures and just getting started, by the way.
Thank you.
But
Thank
you have police.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hey, buddy. 179. All right.
That comes to me.
Yep.
There's no.
Can't peruse it?
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, 97 signature guy. Okay, 90 of the people didn't know anything about the speed bumps till they were out. So it's like what I said the last time about communication. You put everything in the back page of the Somas record that big. Then you didn't have the TV on. So how does anybody know? Okay. Did you get the fire commissioner's approval on the speed bumps?
We had a letter from them, yeah.
For the ones
It was
in-
referred,
Heard out.
it was referred out.
Did they sign off on it?
Yeah, they,
On the current ones, or the future ones?
oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
They had comment. I don't.
Yeah, they,
you referred it out to all the,
and they made their, they made their comment on it.
yeah, I can't remember.
Comment,
but
it slows.
I,
I guess as they weren't against it.
I was told that they didn't sign off on it.
Well, they don't
They don't
sign off,
sign
they
off
ask
on it.
comment. The comment might be on the safety factor of it or whatever, but it's,
Okay.
I don't have to approve it.
Yeah. Which we have. Someone here.
Okay, my point is, you got a
Be quiet.
volunteer fire department, okay? Got a guy who works all day, goes home, gets the radio goes off 2 o'clock in the morning. He jumps out of bed, he runs in his car, runs to the firehouse. Now you got a brush fire or something on Cypress. What does he do? He goes down bridge, around Lakeview, boom, he's on top of a speed. Half of Shenrock did that. What happens when you roll over fire with a fire truck? Doing 20, 30, maybe 40 miles an hour. Okay, they wanted the speed bumps put in, but they're anywhere between 2/10 and 3/10 mile from where they live. They don't want to hear the bump come on over. I invited,
Yeah, could somebody stop their phone, whoever that is? Is that your phone?
Watching Star Wars over there, Philippe, what's going on?
I mean, you couldn't ask for better timing.
Darth Vader is coming.
I think Philip is timing it perfect. Timing.
I reclaim my time.
Yeah, I stopped. Don't worry.
Okay,
I got you.
That's how-
I've given everybody more than 3 minutes,
okay.
so.
Well, I was timing anyway, but I invited you guys last year to come over to my house for lunch to hear the noise. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody came, but to hear the noise, you know, you got to be there to hear it. My house. Okay, in the morning, cars racing up the hill. I told you, put a speed bump on the top of the hill. You know, it's ridiculous. Now everybody's worried about safety. They put up, you know, they put the speed bumps down. You put up the speed bump signs, but they took the bumps up. They took the signs down, but you left the post. You worried about safety. Big dark green. It's dark out. You're on the road. Somebody's gonna hit it. Now I can understand they're worried about walking. I had a dog. I used to walk it up and Ty Road. All right. I had the problem. People wanted to hit me. I went out, got myself a stick. I swung it a couple of times, took off a couple of mirrors, moved away. All right. That's about it. I'm just, you know, fire truck goes over those bumps, you're gonna do major damage. Okay. Everything's gonna have to go back to the manufacturer. Manufacturer ain't gonna want to warranty it. Gonna come out of the taxpayers' money. You know, and they said it themselves, the one right after the other. Who placed them out, you know? Oh, I want a speed bump, but I don't want it in front of my house. All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I just. One more comment. I just wanted to point out so that everyone's informed. We did ask for speed bumps that were more gradual bump. Yes, for humps. And that was denied. We settled for the temporary speed bumps. and we settled for only near the lake. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. Also, I wanted everyone to be aware that in Lake Purdy's and in Lake Lincolndale, Nick also puts up the temporary speed bumps.
Please address the board.
Nick puts up the temporary speed bumps in the spring, takes them up in the fall. This has been going on for years in Lincolndale and in Purdy's. Hasn't been an issue for ambulance, fire, any of that in those communities. I'm not sure why, maybe because they're too close. I'll give you that, but they weren't a problem in Purdy's or in Lincolndale.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to point that out. But
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? No, if no one else here for public comment, I'll make the motion to close public comment.
Second,
Can I make one quick comment?
Go right ahead.
This is just Tom Garrity. I'm not looking for a debate. We get petitions here all the time, and I give whoever put the petition together credit. We have two types here. We have a type that has a name with an address and all that. Those are good ones. We also have the one that you go online, and when you see a name that says John G., Yorktown Heights, we don't know who that person is. And again, Tommy, whoever put this petition together, we have part of it is good. The online petition though, and I can't speak for anybody else, but to me, I laughed at one. We got one time and it said Tom G. I didn't remember signing a petition, but somebody could have thought it was me because it said Yorktown Heights and it's not. So again, I'd say this is an example, but I say this in general when people bring us petitions. When I get one of those online petitions, I don't even pay attention to it because I have no idea who the person is. I could go in there and write Tom A, Tom B, Tom C, Tom D, and all of a sudden I got 26 signatures on there. So again, that's just a general comment for future. So thank you. That was it.
All right, I'll make the motion again to close that public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Aye.
Okay. Patty, department reports?
Thank you for everybody for coming out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I'll give them
Thank
a
you.
few seconds to.
Do it. I'll do this. This is,
Yeah, nobody.
this is just from my,
what'd you say?
this is just for me. I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, Bureau of Fire Prevention, Parks and Recreation, Planning and Engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance.
Thank you so much. All right, move on to the business of the board. First, we'll start with the town board here, give you some town of Somers updates. Some good news. Spot paving has started on Route 35. There were crews out there today, I believe, on that.
I got caught in it.
And you got caught in it. I know a couple other people who did as well, who sent me a message, and just got a phone call here and a text message that spot paving will begin on 118 starting next week. So a start, not too bad, but hopefully we can get one of those two roads and 202 completely paved here, and hopefully in some time, but making some progress.
So
Too slow.
say on top of Rod, so leave extra time. Like I said, I got routed all up different roads to get home on Waze because it was there, and I'm not complaining because I'd rather have a smooth road or the potholes filled in, but that's what's going to happen over the next few weeks. So just be aware.
Yep.
You know, I don't know why. I don't know enough to say why, but I do wonder why. Nick pointed this out back in the fall. Anyone who drives those roads know that first time there's ice and water, it's going to
Pop.
happen. So, I mean, it seems like it was pretty evident. Now, maybe there's nothing that could be done to prevent it early on, but wow, those roads are terrible.
They are terrible. So that's for the Somerstown update. So
Yeah, I got one thing.
go ahead.
Some folks in towns might be seeing Verizon in their neighborhood, putting in cable. So this is a good thing. It's something that we were proponents for as a town to get more competition, get fiber in neighborhoods. They've made an effort to put fiber in in various neighborhoods, which requires them to go underground. And they're doing it in the least invasive way, working in the right of way. And they're essentially going underground. They're not digging up, digging up any of the pavements. But there are some situations that can happen as they do through that. I think we had a situation where,
Over on Watergate.
on Watergate, yeah, water went down there for about 4 hours. So they've been very responsive. They're coordinating with the highway department. They're letting us know what's going on, what they plan to do, what their timing is. Bear with it. I mean, this is gonna expand capacity and network capacity for the town and bring
Yeah.
competition to the town.
It doesn't include TV though, right, Anthony?
No, well, right now what they're doing is putting in the backbone along the everybody's right away street, hooking up to your home will require a connection to to your home from that backbone. In terms of the service is not FiOS typically. I'm not sure, you would have to talk to them, but they have two things going on here. FiOS is internet service with TV, like you might see,
Right.
be familiar with Cablevision. Fiber optic is just internet. So typically what they've been doing is offering fiber optic service where you can hook up and then maybe stream. But they don't have the franchise agreements or the permission or the financial wherewithal, obviously, I think, to offer the FiOS service. It's a step in the right direction. I think over time, the industry is going to go to more streaming oriented solutions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But the lack of competition is crazy on this. And anything that will compete with Cablevision, the worst company in America, I am 100% in favor of.
Ooh. But they come in with a team of contractors and they'll do a whole neighborhood. And they it's pretty, it's pretty detailed. And so they come in a week and a half, they're done and they're out of it. And they've been doing all the things that they're supposed to do, replant, seed, cover up where they need to cover up, and get that all done.
And we as a board are incredibly happy because for the entirety of my time on this board, they would tell everybody that it was the town board that did not allow them to come into town.
Yes.
Put in FiOS.
Right.
They told me at the mall one time that the town board would not let it. And as Mr. Sirico said, we are more than happy to have additional competition. So at least this will put an end to that and the town will be able to get FiOS.
All right, great.
All right, number 2, we're going to remove from the agenda this evening. Assemblyman Matt Slater, who represents 94th District, is not able to attend tonight. I believe he's in Albany and working hard for us. So Patty will remove that for this evening. And then number 3, we'll go right to North Edge Realty. First, before you guys come up, I'm just going to have Dave Smith from the Planning Department just come give us an overview on everything. So Dave, you want to come up?
Good evening, Mr. Advisor, members of the board. Dave Smith, Town Planner. So you have 2 items on your docket for North Edge for discussion. I had submitted to you a memo dated January 24th, which kind of walks through the state environmental quality review process that you're currently in. That's the seeker. In December, early December, you had declared your intent to act as lead agency. You circulated that notice to a number of interested and involved agencies, and included with that notice was the petition for the rezoning that North Edge had submitted to the town, included in an environmental assessment form. This is the full or the long environmental assessment form. And it included a copy of the proposed site plan. So that was circulated to a number of interested involved agencies. You got responses back from the New York State Department of Environmental Protection, your Somers Planning Board, New York City DEP, New York State Department of Transportation, Westchester County Planning Board. And then just recently on January 20th, you received a comment letter from the Watershed Inspector General. Now I'll note that none of these agencies have objected to the town board, your board, acting as lead agency for the environmental review of the proposed action, which is the North Edge project. So with that being said, I'm just going to go quickly over, some of the parameters that you're considering right now. Under the town code, this type of action is classified, the town of Somers has classified this action under seeker as a type 1 action. And there's a presumption that a type 1 action may have a significant adverse impact on the environment. But before you get to that determination, you need to have the facts in hand. And so the next step in the process, in the memo that we've prepared, is to have kind of the facts before you make that next step, that determination of significance. And there are a number of reports that would help you better understand the potential impacts of this particular project. And we've identified the reports that should be prepared for your consideration. And they include a traffic impact study, and that'll be coordinated with the town's traffic consultant, Hardesty and Hanover. There would be a stormwater management report, and DEP has indicated that any soil testing must be witnessed by DEP, so that's an obligation by the applicant to have that done. There were questions about the wetland boundary survey and evaluation, and the DEP noted that they would encourage a coordinated site visit with their office, and this is something that the applicant needs to prepare as part of the response, so that, again, you have a better understanding. We all have a better understanding of the potential impacts. And I think part of the issue was that when you look at the GIS system, which places certain environmental constraints on the maps, that's a kind of a general evaluation of where that is located. But when you actually go into the field and map it and flag it, it may actually be, you have a much more defined boundary for that particular issue. We've asked for a utility report for the capacity in the Peekskill wastewater treatment plant, a construction management plan, a natural resources report, including tree removal, any tree removal, a fiscal analysis, including the potential for public school age children, real estate tax generation, and a cultural resource evaluation. And the cultural resource portion can be completed by the applicant online. That's something that I've done in the past with other applications. So the one of the kind of the technical issues that New York City DEP and the Watershed Inspector General had raised, that there was a certain criteria under seeker relative to type 1 actions that was identified as part of the environmental assessment form that basically related to the amount of disturbance on site. And so they're asking for, before you've even made a determination of significance, that you prepare an environmental impact statement. And what I would suggest to you is to have the applicant prepare the reports that we've identified, specifically addressing the issues that New York City DEP and the Watershed Inspector General have identified. And at that time, once you have the full information and the facts before you, then you can make a more informed decision as to whether an environmental impact statement needs to be prepared, or whether there's sufficient information that you can complete the process using the environmental assessment form with the studies and the technical reports that have been prepared for your review and submission.
So Dave.
Yes, sir.
If we do that, you're suggesting that when the reports are completed, they would still go to the Inspector General and the other, we would get their feedback. So they could
Yes.
back after the fact and still say, we still want an EIS.
Correct.
We would expect them to either say either or, they want an EIS or not.
Correct. And they would have to justify their response based on the facts that have been presented to them.
Yeah, we were talking, and I'm just curious the process.
Mhm.
If they come back and say, we want it, and I'm not saying, who has ultimate, if they do,
Authority.
we want an EIS, since they're the Inspector General, does their take precedent over us? Or can we, even if they were to say that, not that we would,
Right.
I'm just trying to find the process. Could we say, well, we don't think we need one?
Well, you're in the process right now of declaring yourself lead
Lead
agency. Right.
Okay.
So you have, in my opinion, you have the ultimate authority as to whether a environmental impact statement is prepared or not. You need to justify
Yes.
any decision, and it needs to be based on the facts that have been presented to you and are made available to the public.
Okay, and I,
Need it-
again, no way, shape or form am I saying we should that. I'm
Right.
just saying I wanted to know what the.
And I'm not asking or suggesting that you make that decision now because you
Yep.
don't have the facts.
Good, thank you.
And just as a matter of process, you can take it one step further. I mean, could they Article 78 us or something like that?
Well, I'm not an attorney and sometimes I play one on TV, but I'll defer to Roland as to
Okay.
whether, I'm sure they could
Yes.
article.
They could do that. Either agency or both agencies together. And of course, the claim would be that you did not take a hard look at seeker, and you did not study the issues that have been raised because you did not require an EIS. We're not there yet. We're not at that decision.
Yep.
Let's see what they put together. Let's see if they convince the other agencies that those agencies are now satisfied. If they are, then there's no issue going down the road you're going. If they're not, then you'll have a real decision to make, because these agencies and the town typically work together. This is unusual for them to step out like this.
So,
Sorry.
so essentially they're coming back and saying that they have some issues. We're saying here, the applicant is saying, you know, we have these reports, these studies, we're going to do this. We think this will satisfy them. That is an unknown at this point. But I think this path, if we go down this path, we find ourselves at a juncture where, you know, where there's a conflict, this may take longer, right? Essentially, you would have to do an EI long form, and that would, you know, take longer. So all that's out there.
And there's no clock going right now, is there?
No.
Okay, so
No.
there's not, if we come back and we say we want an EIS, we're starting fresh.
You're
Correct.
starting fresh, but the information that you would want to have to include in the environmental impact statement,
Mhm.
most of it would have been prepared already by the technical reports and studies that you're asking for before you even make the decision of whether
Yeah, they could get it back to us quickly, probably, or more quickly than having to start fresh. But again, I'm just making sure,
Yeah.
you know, there's so many times when there's a clock that you have to have a decision.
there's no clock now.
I'm just making sure we're not pushing it down and all of a sudden somebody comes back and says, you got to make a decision now. It's been,
No.
you know, X amount of time.
So one of the things we do up here also is that, you know, we want everything done correctly, but we are mindful in terms of there's a cost for everything that has to be done. So if this goes down to the long road, I mean, essentially, you know, there could be an extra cost for the applicant. They're gonna have to bear it. It's not a responsibility, but, you know, we're trying to take a path that if it works, it'll be the quickest path.
And I think the important point is that before you make any decision, you want to have all the facts before.
All the facts.
And you share those facts in a transparent way with the other interested and involved agencies.
Yeah, so the public gets to know, this is just the gathering of the fact stage,
Correct.
right? We can't make a decision about what we want to do or what direction we're going to go to until we have all the facts.
Correct.
So you-
Right? And we're just asking the applicant to get all the facts for us so we can weigh them out. And then we can make an educated decision and the best step forward.
So you mentioned one of the things that we need is something about the connection to the county, to the county sewer.
Correct.
So, all right, so essentially they're gonna have to agree to the connection at some,
The county?
yeah,
Yes, they're going to have to.
as part of this process.
Correct.
Okay.
So when you said before that we have to justify that decision, we have to justify it either to the state or to the applicant, to each of them? Like if we deny it, no, we got to justify it. I just want to make sure I understand who we're justifying it to.
Well, you're essentially justifying it to the public. That you have considered the impacts, the potential impacts. And there's another step before we get, you know, as part of this decision-making process. The environmental assessment form, which was circulated with the petition, is prepared by the applicant. There's a part 2 and a part 3 to the environmental assessment form. That's prepared by the lead agency.
Right.
And part 2 includes, I think it's 18 different impact areas, and it asks specific questions on each. And so that's part of your criteria that you're using to make that evaluation of whether this project needs to go to an additional phase, the environmental impact statement phase, or whether the applicant has satisfied the environmental concerns. So there are criteria, objective
I've seen
criteria that you would be using, and we would review those in detail before any decision is made.
So we have to justify this to the public. So you're saying that anyone could then contest that, saying you have not protected the interest of this town or this environment or the water or whatever.
Well, I think getting back to what Roland had mentioned about the quote unquote hard look, that's a very important concept in seeker. And does it mean that as the lead agency, have you reviewed all of the facts, the technical studies, evaluated them? Have your own professional staff provide you with guidance as to the appropriateness and the completeness of the technical reports?
So, I think that's important. It'll come to us, but you will review, it'll go into a
Yeah.
and we'll take, we would take advice. But would it be likely that, one of these agencies, well, what would happen procedurally if we say, would they have access to this information?
Yes.
before we say,
Yeah, you would make this, in other words, when they come back with their submission, it'll be reviewed by this office, by Robbins, by Hardesty and Hanover Traffic, to make sure that there's enough information and in sufficient detail so that the public can understand, and you as the lead agency, what the impacts are and what mitigation may be provided. And so once everybody is satisfied, then that document would be circulated to the other
agency.
interested and involved agencies, and they would have an opportunity to review it and come back with their response. Yes, okay, we agree with you, or no, we don't, and here's why we don't think so.
So if they disagree with us or have some additional things, we might come back to the applicant and say, do this, this.
That may
Okay. All right.
But our first obligation is to protect the public, so to speak.
Correct. That's
Water, the land and air and everything.
absolutely
That's our first
correct. Yeah.
Got it.
And that's what you're doing.
Right. And this is the procedure by we attempt to protect that interest.
That's correct.
Of the public.
Yeah, we just want to go with the agency.
All right.
Okay.
Dave, your memo was excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Does the applicant want to say anything again?
I don't need you to.
I just.
Got your usual posse here.
Tim Allen representing the applicant. I just say ditto to what Dave did. He did a great job, and we've agreed that all the reports are adequate, and it's really what we expected to do anyway, in terms of preparing and moving this application forward. So
It's your expectation all these satisfy
yeah,
the interests of the various parties.
correct.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Excellent.
All right, I'll make the motion here to declare the town board as lead agency.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
That it?
That's it.
Right.
You've authorized the preparation of the-
Yeah, and also I'll make the motion to authorize the technical reports to be prepared.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Mr. Boniello, in your development, do you plan any speed bumps? No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
I had.
I'll let you.
Soon.
Sorry.
Thank you.
No,
You guys have a good
nobody ever
weekend.
knows it. Yes, you got to refer to these guys.
I knew they had it. I knew this. Nice. All right. On to number 4 here. Bureau of Fire Prevention, request for proposed local law for the naming and numbering of shared driveways. I'd like to bring up Rob Russell.
Hey, Rob.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. How is everyone?
Good.
Rob.
Very well.
So I'm happy to go back and review whatever you'd like, but I don't want to belabor points that you're familiar with. Basically, in March of 2016, there was an incident on Lower Pines Bridge Road, which prompted Bureau to take action and suggest a code revision to address properties that maybe have one driveway that serve multiple houses that are on the same parcel and don't have separate house numbers, and the houses are not visible from the street. We had also talked a little bit about the fact that you can't rely on the mailboxes because sometimes there are those clusters of mailboxes in front of one property that don't align in front of each property that you know what the house numbers are. So we had proposed a code change that if it was a common driveway serving 3 or more houses, it would get a street sign, and the designation, instead of being drive or terrace, would be commons. So like in the case of the DeCiano property, had he not gone and got separate parcels, it would have been Primrose Commons, just as an example. This was done twofold, one for the responders in town because we'd had two separate issues with this, and two, because we very often have mutual aid coming in to support us, and they're not going to be familiar with the town or have that legacy knowledge that we may have. But if we, advise them that, hey, if the address comes in as commons, you're looking for one driveway and there's going to be multiple, dwelling units on that property. So in May of 2016, I came before you guys, presented this all, and the town board at that time set a resolution in support of it and referred it to the planning board. In June of 2016, I went to the planning board, made the same presentation, and they made a letter of recommendation back to the town board saying, yes, we are in agreement with this. The issue we ran into is this was never actually adopted into the code anywhere. So even for ourselves, when we went back to reference this, it's nowhere that you would easily be able to find that if you were, changing something on your property or whatever, you could reference it and be like, oh, if I'm going to have 3, dwelling units on one driveway, I need to have this sign. So I'm here tonight to ask to have those resolutions and letter of support actually converted into a section of code requiring the street sign with the common suffix on it, driveways servicing 3.
Two questions.
Absolutely.
See if you
I mean, is this going to require, this will require public
Public hearing.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Secondly, how many properties are we thinking about here? Parcel? Do we know the scope?
I probably had a better understanding at the time, but we're almost 8 years past that, and I could not find the original presentation I made. In the 25 years I've been in the fire department, I know of 2 specific examples that this occurred to. One was on the Pines Ridge property, and it significantly delayed the response because they were driving up and down Pines Ridge Road looking for this house that they couldn't be seen, and it was on a driveway. The other is, I believe there's a parcel down on Old Route 100. And I think Chief Wallers was chief at the time. They got a call there for they needed emergency services. The department got there. The house was dark. They called the radio room, had them call the caller back and said, hey, we're here. There's nobody here. There's no emergency. What's going on? And she was like, no, I'm in the house. You have to go over the driveway and down, and then I'm in the house in the back. So I know of at least 2 examples. The issue was one of the mandates for the Bureau of Fire Prevention to suggest code revisions to make it safer in the town. And we took this as sort of a battle cry to move forward with this because there are probably a good number of them that we don't, because they're legacy. They've been there and they've been that way forever.
So how would you would have to identify them at some point, right? If you're going to put in the code, you have to identify it. And then
Would you notify them? Here's,
it would be going forward.
Oh, it's going, yes,
Right.
good. That was my question. You're not looking.
Think about going forward.
Grandfather clause in effect.
Oh,
Everything-
good.
Yeah.
That was my question, because I was saying, if
I
I
think
lived
it-
on it and I had to change my address,
I think.
No,
we
you're not
talked
changing
about-
your address. You're
Exactly.
putting, sort of like, in essence, the way Somers Commons has a sign that says Somers Commons, even though it's 80 Route 6 Baldwin Place, right? But you have the Somers Commons, so you know that that's what that area is. This would be just identifying moving forward.
but more importantly, this is moving forward. So
Absolutely.
new
Any-
3-lot subdivisions would have this.
Correct.
who would put up that sign?
Thank
Because I think last week we talked about the numbers, and that's how I remember the discussion with 2015 was, might be 107 Primrose Street, A, B, and C, if there's 3 houses there. So that's how I remember it. And then last week we are talking about, well, what is the road name? So it's not actually a road. We are talking about a driveway,
Correct.
right? And who puts up that sign on that driveway that and would that be confusing to other people who come down that road? Like, oh, I thought it was on Primrose Street. Primrose Street is this way.
Well, it's not really a road, right?
It's not a road. That's
a driveway.
that's where we,
Regardless of the length. And we made it 3 houses or dwelling units or more because there are
right.
houses, especially in the lake communities that are close and have a common driveway.
You have one right next to the high school. There's
Right.
houses up there. One driveway.
Well,
Primrose Estates.
Primrose Estates, they actually split 3 parcels. They became an official private road, and their addresses are number 1, number 2, and number 3, Primrose Estates Drive, I believe.
I think there's one driveway next to the high school. He built 3 houses back there, I think. Okay.
Oh, that's the second one. The one next to the high school is it's still just a single house up there.
Appreciate you coming back and
So who's
Speak-
gonna put that sign up? How's it gonna look? Highway put that up?
Yeah.
The people have to put up a sign? I'm just wondering how this is all gonna work. I understand, obviously, safety is the most important thing. You
Right.
don't wanna be one of those houses and they can't get to you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whoever puts the road up now,
Yeah.
it would be whoever's doing the subdivision will put the road up, will put the
Yeah.
sign
Gotta
up.
move it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
What's-
I'm gonna have one.
Yeah,
It's like any development though. They put the sign up.
Is it gonna be on the street?
Yes, so like say we'll take your house.
Yeah, you can have it.
We're gonna subdivide your property. And now, but we're only gonna have one.
Sorry, Patty, turn your mic on.
No, we're only allowed to have one curb cut. Then.
Yeah,
So it'll be. So Primrose Street is
Right.
your address, 80 Primrose Street,
right.
but you're going to live at,
Clinchy Court,
Clinchy Common.
Clinchy Common.
And that sign will be put up on the street to note that
Yeah.
this is,
In the inside of the driveway.
In the right of way, yes.
It's just for, so you,
and we'll have
for
that
the
in the
first
code.
responders to know where
obviously.
they're going.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, because we got thrown off, I got thrown off by the word road, but it's,
Yeah, I understand it.
Correct.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
last week it said road, so on the agenda.
Correct, but I think in the original memo that came before, or at least in the response from the planning board, the board acting in one of its roles to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens, Somers voted to recommend to the town board that any road, they use the term road, but I believe in our original memo to the town board,
Yeah, that's what we talked about. I remember the
Of-
discussion.
um,
I'm trying, I was,
so in
wanted to
our
clarify.
memo,
That's all.
and this may be where the disconnect is, I apologize, is we said at the recommendation of Deputy Chief Russell, the Bureau of Fire Prevention proposes that moving forward, any road surface servicing 3 or more houses, it looks like in their memo, they neglected the word surface.
All right,
All right, good.
good. Thank you, Rob.
So that would be the request, just to get it incorporated into, so that, when submissions come before us, as I always do, we could say, no, you need to have the common street name, but without something to point to say, this is why you have to do it. We're kind of,
Yeah, you can't do it.
without the ability to enforce it or impose that restriction.
Are you familiar with this in other towns where you work?
I am not, actually.
I was just wondering, does Google pick this up or emergency services pick this up? Or would just be a local, it's a knowledge of the locality where how would someone, you say out of town, how would they know that if they're coming to help us?
Obviously,
Address.
I can't speak for Google, but my experience with Google is they're very good about that. We had an issue with another area of the town that had unauthorized street names, and Google had reflected all of those in ways when you put in those street addresses would bring you to that area.
So it'd be your expectation it would pick it up on any sort of
Correct.
internet-based thing? Okay, just wondering.
All right, I think we're all in agreement here. Roland, can you draft the local law for us?
Sure, I'll need a copy of that memo if Patty has it or someone has it.
Yep, we'll send it over to you.
Okay,
And then Patty will schedule the public hearing for March 14th.
Only took 8 years, Rob.
Okay.
Well, I think we were all under the impression that it had
That
just
had been done.
done.
Yeah.
We were shocked when we couldn't find it in the code when we were doing the
Whoops.
mission.
Yeah, we've messed that one up. Okay.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You don't want to tell us how you feel about speed bumps?
No.
No.
All right. Patty, we're gonna remove number 5 from the agenda this evening. And that takes us to number 6, authorize supervisor to execute the Woodard and Curran Professional Engineering Services proposal for Ross Drive Tank Interior Recoating Project not to exceed 72,000. And I have Steve Robbins here from Woodard and Curran to talk a little bit about the project.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Ross Drive tank is in the Shenorock community on the end of Ross Drive. It's about a 1.5 million gallon tank, stores water that's used in the Amawak Shenorock Water District here in town. It is a welded steel tank, and as any steel tank, it needs to be coated to prevent corrosion and deterioration of that steel, and also to protect the quality of the water. About a dozen or so years ago, the town undertook a project to recoat the exterior of that tank with the expectation of coming back a decade or so later and recoating the interior of the tank. The tank is inspected every 3 to 5 years, and the results of that most recent inspection does indicate that it is now time to undertake that activity.
What kind of materials do you use to coat it?
Yeah, you use a three-part coating system, a primer, an intermediate coat, and then a top coat that provides some galvanic protection between the water and the steel surface.
And they have
Specialty industrial coating, you can't go down.
that tank would have to be emptied, obviously.
It does have to be.
So what happens with the water that was in it, and what do you do if the tank isn't available for, I would think, not a very long period of time, hopefully, but it'll be a period of time.
It would be out of service for a period of several months, a couple months. And, you know, the plan is really to use as much water as you can hydraulically until you lose pressure. And then it gets shut off and drained, typically dechlorinated, and then into the storm system. It's clean water, it's potable water, as long as we take the chlorine out.
But nothing
Fine.
places that storage tank in the time.
So the the Amawak-Shenerack Water District receives water from three sources. One is wells in the preserves area that are town water wells. The town receives water from interconnection on Route 35 with from Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks. And as part of the improvements along Route 6, now has an interconnection with Yorktown that carries all the way down Route 6 and into the Amawak-Shenerack Water District from behind the shopping plaza where the Stop and Shop is. So that combination of three sources would be sufficient hydraulically to provide water to the town.
Yeah, we would talk to Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks and Yorktown to coordinate, so service is not affected in that area.
But it's better to have the tank
It
eventually.
Yes. And this is all in coordination with the fire department as well, so they understand the capacities that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary part of infrastructure maintenance.
Steve, to do this, is there gonna be equipment, robot? I mean, what is it gonna take is it easy access for this or?
This is located at the end of a dead-end street. There are close proximate neighbors, residential neighbors. As part of this process, they do have to sandblast the interior coating to get back down to bare metal. That is a noisy process that does not last forever, and it is done during normal working hours in the town. So there's a short period of disruption there. Most of the work is all inside the tank, so you won't see a lot of scaffolding and things like that up. But the contractor will have compressors and generators and other equipment on site to maintain the appropriate temperature and humidity that they need inside the tank to apply the coating.
And how long will this take?
I think a 2 to 3 month period is a reasonable estimate if weather allows.
Is there a clerk of the works or something like that who watches over this, or?
That's part of this
Have
proposal.
you?
Yes, me and my staff.
Got to be done.
Does.
Any other questions, guys?
No.
Oh, let's go for it. No, so I'll make the motion here to authorize the supervisor to execute the professional engineering services from Woodard and Curran for the Ross Drive tank.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So move. Okay, Steve, you want to talk about number 7, and it's the authorization solicitation of request for proposal for Lake Shenerack aeration dated February 1st, 2024 from yourself, Steve Robbins, PE Consulting Town Engineer.
Thank you. Shenerack has a number of lake communities, Shenerack being one of them, and uniquely the town now owns Lake Shenerack, and many of the other lake communities, they are privately owned and managed by those lake associations. Here in Shenerack, one of the things that the town can do to improve water quality, both for aesthetics, for the ecological function that the lake provides, and as a tributary to the Amawak Reservoir for New York City drinking water supply, is to install an aeration system in that lake. We are proposing that the town install a subsurface aerator. This would consist of a blower on the shore of the lake and a series of a couple dozen maybe aerators in the pond itself. These are fine bubble diffusers. They sit on the bottom of the lake, and well, they bubble. That oxygenates the water column. It creates turnover of water. These are not surface aerators. They're not fountains. They're not spraying water. They're not dramatically changing the aesthetic. You'll see some bubbles rising from the bottom, and that's about it. In doing so, by oxygenating the lake, we can reduce the occurrence of algal blooms that are caused by the high nutrient levels in the lake. We can encourage aerobic bacteria that do consume the nutrients in the lake, and reduce algae and weeds, since there's not as many nutrients in the lake because we're encouraging the aerobic bacteria. So this is not a huge infrastructure investment. And we feel comfortable that the town could go out and solicit quotes for this. Expect the installation cost to be under 35,000.
And what is it that this won't do? Because we heard about this, of course, and we had long discussions about storage over there and whether to put that in and what the reserve lake and what that might do, might not do. Why, if I remember correctly, why simply aeration wasn't enough. So just, it's eutrophying. I think, remember Joe Barbagallo saying in the middle of it, it's only a few feet deep.
Correct.
Really,
Mhm.
which is surprising when you look at it. So we don't want more eutrophication. That's not good for anything. So your memo says this is to help on that. So I guess my question is, what is it we're going to do? I guess that, and what is it it's not going to do? And will we need to do something in the future for it that will be more extensive?
Yeah, what this does not do is solve the problem of the nutrient loading coming into the lake, and it does not remove any of the accumulated sediment in the lake itself. You can think of this as something that is better than nothing. It is kind of treating the symptom as opposed to the cause, but it is nevertheless some low-hanging fruit that the town can undertake.
So it will improve it, but it's not solving the, okay.
The root of the problem.
Good explanation. Thank you.
Once you have enough oxygen in the lake, sterile carp, pennies on compared to this fall. And that would help. To my mind, that would.
He needs to come up here.
That's right.
It'd be several $100s. It might be $1,500. But it needs oxygen. They probably wouldn't live in that lake if you dumped them in there.
Not many things will.
Not many-
So we'll get this step done first,
All right.
and we'll look at the next step.
Yep, it's part of a bigger picture.
Yeah. Steve?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
I'd like the motion to authorize the station for the request for proposal for.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thanks, Dave.
We've had many conversations. Parks and Recreation, no additional business. Financial, authorize the 2023 budget transfers and modifications for memo dated February 2nd, 2024 from Robert Kehoe, Director of Finance. That consists of for the Reynolds House, NYSERDA hybrid and EV charges and the salt shed. I'll make the motion to authorize the 2023 budget transfers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, highway, no additional business. Personnel. We do have some current vacancies here. We do have Affordable Housing Board vacancies. We have, I think we're Architectural Review Board. I know we spoke to a couple of you guys, and we had a candidate there, Nicholas Bashk, who came in and met with us before. And there's an open position for that. And I would like to make the motion to appoint Nicholas Bashk to the Architectural Review Board, and that is ending 3/31/2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We also have a Library Board of Trustees, 1 5-year term ending on 12/31/2028. And I'd like to make the motion to appoint Christine Rios to that position.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So
I'm going to
moved.
abstain from that.
Okay. And then we have a Partners in Prevention as well. We have a candidate that we interviewed before too, Annie Casimir. And I'd like to make the motion to appoint him to the Partners in Prevention, his term ending 12/31/2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And if anybody's looking to be on one of our boards, please contact our office. And we can get you the information, and maybe with board you're in, we bring you in for an interview. Nothing for planning and engineering, nothing for police, consensus agenda. I'll make the motion to move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Calendar here for 2024. We have March 7th and March 14th, Town Board Work Session and Town Board Regular Meeting, both at 7 PM. And then we have April 11th and 18th, both starting at 7 PM, Town Board Work Session and Town Board Regular Meeting. That is not it for us. Patty, do you have any, do you have a fun fact here?
No, I've been slacking, so I really did homework for this one, and today was a good day. Some good stuff. So on this day in 1945, Paul Brown agreed to coach the new American football expansion team in Cleveland, which would later be named the Cleveland Browns after their coach. In 1996, the NFL in Cleveland allowed Art Modell
Right.
to move his NFL franchise to Baltimore, but he had to leave the Browns name behind. And then a few months later, they were named the Baltimore Ravens. A week from today, pitchers and catchers report to spring training on Tuesday the 20th, full squad. Preseason first game is an away game against the Tigers. Then we have
So if Patty's not here for the next 3 weeks, you know where she is.
preseason home game is on the 25th against the Blue Jays. The 28th is opening game in Houston against our beloved Astros. On April, and then home opener, April 5th, Blue Jays.
And somewhere in there, there's a somewhat of a big football game this weekend.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, well, I did my football fun facts.
Aaron will be proud of you.
Yeah, you want to do some Super Bowl?
Can I add to a Super Bowl comment? Speaking of football, thank you, Tom. Yeah, there is some kind of big game this weekend. And in 1936, on this day in history, the very first NFL draft occurred, and the very first pick was Jay Berwinger. He comes out of the University of Chicago, was drafted by the Eagles, never played, went right over to the Bears.
I did.
1936. You heard
I
about
did see that one,
See that one?
but I like the two Browns like on the same day.
Yeah.
Both of those happened today.
Many fun facts.
And then they drafted Jimmy Brown, so they had a lot of Brown.
All right, so let's do this real quick. Bill, who do you like?
Whichever my box pool is saying.
Whatever you pick, you gotta
I
pick.
if I had to pick, I'd have to say the Niners. They haven't been there in a while.
49ers. Rich?
Well, Taylor Swift told me that KC would win, so I'm going with them.
See, huh?
Yeah. She and I were talking.
Tom?
Okay.
49ers.
49ers. Tony?
KC.
Oh, you're.
I'm willing,
I-
and I'm willing, and I'm willing.
No,
And
I
I'm,
want to get Linda in here too. Linda, who do you like?
I'm willing to give you 7 also.
But
You too, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll go next.
Linda, who do you like? 49ers?
I'm going Mahomes, baby.
All right. You're still the deciding vote.
I'm going 49ers.
There.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Either way, let's just hope for a good game.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
Hope for good food.
You didn't ask for
Roland, you? Who do you like in Super Bowl?
Definitely Mahomes.
Definitely. Well, it's back to a tie.
Roland, then we get a tie. All right, there we go.
Good idea.
It's in there. Well, that's, I'll make the motion to close out.
Let me just say, I want
Hold
to
on.
wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah?
The lovely ladies who work with us every day and come to these meetings every Thursday or 2 Thursdays. So
And my wife wishes me a happy Valentine.
I don't know what she's thinking.
I don't know what she's thinking either.
High school basketball playoffs start next week.
they do.
Anything?
So that was it.
That was it. All right, if nothing else, I'd like to make the motion to close out tonight's town board regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So move. Night, everyone.
Thank you.
Night.
Good night,
Night, Roland.
The spread is 2.